Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Romeo from Build Muscle Get Lean, and today I'm excited to bring you this video because today is officially, yesterday night was officially the end of my dieting for 8 consistent weeks. So I'm glad that this is over now, and I'm going to summarize my 8 weeks for you. But of course, remember, all of this is on the playlist, starting with the first video that I dropped, which was the analysis of my first 30 days. And then I did a few follow-up videos after that. So this video here is week 8. And so I'm excited to bring this to you, and I'm excited that the diet is over. So first off, let's go ahead and get started. So what do my 8 weeks look like? Let's go ahead and look at that. And this is this morning. Yep, so I wanted some more definition in my legs, and I definitely got my definition in my legs. Let's look at the numbers. So the numbers, just as a brief summary of what happened, I started this cut on the 1st of January, and the motivation to start the cut on the 1st of January, even though I was only 166 pounds, was that I wanted to prove that the concepts in my book worked. And the first rule of this book, of the only 2 rules that you need to build muscle and get lean, is to put your body in a calorie deficit and keep it there. And so many people don't do that. They think it's so difficult, and quite frankly, it can be if you don't know how to equip yourself with the right information. And so the information that helps you and allows you to do that is in the book. So make sure you pick up the book. I consistently kept myself in a calorie deficit for 8 straight weeks. So I started on the 1st of January 2025 at 166 pounds, and I used this spreadsheet to calculate my starting calories based on a sedentary activity level. That does not mean I was sedentary, but it does mean that I put myself in a deficit that was low enough that allowed me to lose weight, but also high enough that allowed me to eat as many calories as possible. And my starting calories were 2,000 calories. And yes, I still went to the gym, so I probably burned an additional 400 calories while in the gym. But that's how I started, and I used these 2,000 calories for the first 6 weeks. And so with these calories, these macronutrients were calculated: 166 grams of protein, 234 grams of carbs, and 44 grams of fat. And that's what I used for the first 6 weeks. And here were my weights for the first week. I ended up the first week averaging 164 pounds. And then week 2, I ended up averaging 163.3 pounds, dropping just under 1 pound of weight. And then week 3, my average was 162 pounds. But this week, compared to week 2, I lost a little bit under 1 pound again. And then week 4, 161.96. And so it seems like nothing is happening, these little incremental numbers. And that's why it's important to take averages and actually to weigh yourself every day, because you don't see what's happening. Week 5, again, this is when I had lost 2 pounds in comparison to the average of the previous week. And so I was weighing in at that point, 5 weeks later, right under 160. And then week 6 is I was at the same numbers, around 2,000 calories on average with the same macronutrients, but my weight seemed to have stalled at where I didn't lose anything when I compared the averages. But if you look deep into the numbers right here on day 41, I actually was down 158.2, which was lower than the average of the previous week. But regardless, the average itself, the 7 days after being on those 2,000 calories, appeared that nothing happened. In fact, nothing happened, right? So I barely lost anything during that week. And that's when I made the decision to say, okay, you know what? I want to at least make one adjustment during this 8 weeks. And I wanted to show you what that adjustment looked like. So I went back up to the top of the spreadsheet, and at that point I was 159 pounds. I adjusted my calories downward by 200 calories, and that put me on a new calorie level of 1800 calories, which calculated my new adjusted macronutrients at 159 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbohydrates, and 40 grams of fat. And so that is what I started week 7 with. In week 7, was here on these numbers. I started, and I first weigh in after I started the new calories. It actually, my weight actually went up. So on day 42 it was 159.3, and then look, the weight went up by a whole pound after starting on new calories. And so again, I explained this in my book that weight loss isn't linear, and all types of things could have went into that, because I dropped my calories, but the weight still went up to 161 pounds. And if a lot of people see that, they say, oh, the diet's not working, like after one day, but that's just not the case. On the next day, I went down a pound. And then the next day after that, I stayed the same weight, even though I had dropped my calories by 200 calories. And I know that what I was doing, because I was the one doing it. Like, this is my data. Like, the gum is in there and everything else. But anyway, 4 days after starting at 1800 calories, I was at 159. And then I ended the week on an average, again, at 159.47. And as a comparison to the previous week, it doesn't seem like much happened. All right. But then this final week that I just got off, that's when things start kicking into gear. And so on day 50, I ate, again, the same 1800 calories. It was a little bit over because I was chewing gum to get me through the day. But then on day 51, I was 158 pounds. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. I was 158, and then 158.4, and then 156.9. I clocked in on day 53, and then I went up to 157, and then 156. But this morning, I clocked in on the last day of my diet at 156.3, which brought this week's average as compared to the previous week down 2 pounds. And 156.3 is like the lowest that I've weighed since before high school. And I'm 44 years old, so that's been 20 years since I weighed this lean. And it's important to note that this leanness is not the same leanness that a lot of people who start a low carb diet reach, right? When they start a low carb diet and they get rid of all their carbs, they're actually dropping a lot of water weight. So as you can see, yesterday I was on 238 carbs. Like, that's what I consumed. So there's no way I can say that there was just a significant loss in weight this week, because I've consistently been on the same number of carbs. So this is fat, and I will follow this video up with a video in a couple of days, because I will get a DEXA scan, which will confirm that it's not that it wasn't water, that it was fat that I lost. I'm suspecting that a DEXA scan will say that my body fat at this point, my percentage will probably be somewhere around 8%. Anyway, so those are the numbers. I ended up at 156.3 pounds from 166 pounds the day before I started my diet. So that's a 10-pound loss in 8 weeks. So does the 3,500 calorie rule work? Absolutely, if you know what you're doing and if you follow it consistently. And you may need guidance or maybe a spreadsheet like this. And I've said it in other videos, if If you think you need a spreadsheet like this, you can pick up the spreadsheet by going to buildmusclegetlean.com/template. And I'll also put the link in the description of this video. So 8 weeks down, I'm no longer dieting. What's next? So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring myself back up to maintenance. And so what I do to bring myself back up to maintenance calories is I'm going to go from sedentary and I'm going to go to active. And so now going back up to active, my calories will be approximately 2,600 calories. And here are the macronutrients that I'm now going to go to: 166 grams of protein, 350 grams of carbs, and I'm going to love it because I get more French fries, and 56 grams of fat. And I'm going to think about this for a couple of weeks because possibly I may want to go back up to about 170 pounds. And if I do that, then I'm going to bring myself in a even greater surplus above my maintenance calories. And that's probably going to put me somewhere around very active and put me somewhere around 2,900 calories, which will bring my macros here to 166 grams of protein, 400 grams of carbs, and 64 grams of fat. And that will be lovely. And of course, I will use a new copy of this spreadsheet to just monitor my weight to make sure that I'm not gaining more than 2 pounds per month. Because if I do decide to just bulk up with a lean approach, then at the end of this year, I want to make sure that I am no more than 12 pounds from where I am right now. So more than 170 pounds. So this is the numbers. And again, if you are curious to know what I did and the details involved, everything that I talk about is in my book, Build Muscle, Get Lean. The only 2 rules that you need to build a leaner, more muscular body, including what I recommend for working out. And again, if you want the spreadsheet, make sure you pick up the spreadsheet because it is a powerful tool to help you. And I guess that's everything that I have and that I want to share in this video. So again, the next video will be an analysis of my DEXA scan. And if you don't know what that is, just make sure you keep watching the videos that I'm putting out on the channel that's actually based on my book. And I'll go over what a DEXA scan is in the video where I drop that. But until next time, good luck on your own body transformation journey. Peace.